Welcome to California in Focus. This is your host, Kenneth Schrupp, today here reporting from California with Madeline Shannon, who has a report today about Rob Bonta's comments on Gavin Newsom running for president. Tell me more about your interview or question with Attorney General Rob Bonta.
Yes, well, thank you, Kenneth. I did get a chance to attend a virtual press conference hosted by the California Attorney General Rob Bonta this week, the day after Governor Gavin Newsom said on CBS Sunday Morning that he was thinking about running for president. He is considering it, but it doesn't seem that he's going to make a decision one way or the other for sure until after the midterm elections next year in 2026. I did ask Attorney General Bonta about his thoughts on Newsom potentially running for president, and he gave me, I think, one of the best statements that a politician has ever given me, which is that he thinks that Newsom is gubernatorial and more. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was funny. I think gubernatorial is a great word. And he had nothing but good things to say about Newsom, as you might expect. But he did say that he thinks that Newsom is a great leader, and he is interested in what people think about Newsom's ability to lead. So definitely an interesting couple of days, Sunday and Monday, just seeing what Newsom thinks about potentially running for president, and then Bonta's position on Newsom's announcement.
Yeah, I've heard some other alternative theories here that we could see a dark horse run for governor in California with the backing of perhaps Newsom and the rest of the party. And then if Newsom is, not feeling like a presidential run in 2028 is looking optimal, he may simply be appointed to be senator. In this case, I've heard rumors that Padilla, the current senator, may be the one who runs for governor, and then as governor would appoint Newsom to fill his now vacant position, which would, of course, put him in a stronger position to run for president as a sitting senator rather than a governor 2 years prior. But let's get back here more to your story. You talked to Bonta and reviewed more about what's happening with the rule of law, the Constitution, and election oversight in California. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting going to these press conferences now this week ahead of the November 4th election, because, of course, the U.S. Department of Justice is sending election monitors to California ahead of the November 4th election to just keep an eye on things at the ballot box and at polling places up and down the state. So it is interesting to kind of see that Bonta is trying to take a stand against the actions of the Trump administration in sending people out to California ahead of the Prop 50 vote next week. I know voting's already underway. Voting by mail has gone out already. And so a number of voters in California have already voted, but a lot of politicians and political types I've talked to kind of think of the Trump administration's move as political intimidation and voter intimidation. So
how would it be intimidation?
Well, there really is no request from California, it seems, to have the Department of Justice send election monitors out. It was a request made by the Republican Party, not necessarily state leadership. And so Bonta is of the mind that it's not necessary to send election monitors to California ahead of the Prop 50 vote. And he's just worried that election monitors were sent out to intimidate voters and potentially sway the election.
What does intimidate voters mean, though? I'm just really wondering, what are they saying about that?
They haven't gone into too much detail. They haven't really said what that could potentially look like. But they've just pushed back against really any of the actions by the Trump administration and the Department of Justice to send people out.
Because what I've heard is that it generally is Republicans who turn out in person, especially in the days leading up to and even the day of the election. So it doesn't. I just am wondering why they think that would possibly deter people from voting.
Well, it's not. I got the impression that it wasn't that they think that election monitors being sent to California will deter people from voting as much as it's going to influence the way the election goes one way or the other, whether that's interfering with ballots or getting in the way of people working the voting stations from doing their jobs. I don't know. They haven't really.
So just as conjecture, then perhaps the concern is that there may be Republicans who would otherwise stay at home and not vote because maybe they think the election is rigged, and these election observers coming could make them decide to instead go vote. Do you think that is possibly a concern that is had?
Maybe. I do know that Bonta asked several representatives from nonprofit organizations that do a lot of voting work and voter registration work to be in on the virtual press conference with him on Monday. And they all talked about how important it is for people to register to vote and to go out and vote on November 4th. As they were saying, there are many days and many ways to vote. And so I thought it was interesting that he had these folks come and talk about the election with him.
Okay. Well, Madeline, thank you so much for your time today on this important topic. If you want to keep up with this issue and more, please visit thecentersquare.com. Thank you.